Okay, so NFL games can be weird, and in just this season alone, we've already seen some of the most perplexing games of all time. So I thought it would be a perfect time to look back at some of the weirdest games throughout NFL history, starting off with a famous Thanksgiving duel between the Cowboys and the Dolphins. The year is 1993, Thanksgiving Day, and the Miami Dolphins took a visit to the Dome of Dallas to take on the eventual Super Bowl champion Cowboys in the snow, in Dallas. In November, in a dome. And to add on to the pregame apocalyptic atmosphere, Dan Marino was missing this game as well as the rest of the season, suffering his first missed stretch of games since 1987. So this led to the most stunning quarterback, second most stunning quarterback in NFL history, 39-year-old Steve DeBerg leading the Finns into the frozen tundra. Oh, and O.J. Simpson was the sideline reporter. Sick. And for the entire first half, this was as sloppy of a football game as you'll find, the only points coming off of a monotonous drive by Troy Aikman and the Cowboys, and 2 breakaway 60-plus yard touchdown plays where every single defender slipped on the powder and was incapable of making a tackle. And after 2 field goals by the Dolphins, we get into the real meat of this game, the final few minutes of the fourth quarter. So the Dolphins ended up with the ball, and it was in the hands of Steve DeBerg, with a few minutes remaining, and after a handoff to running back Terry Kirby, he gets hammered by the Dallas defense, leading to a fumble recovery. The Cowboys then proceeded to do nothing with their field position and then shank an almost game-decisive field goal. So the Dolphins got another shot at redemption, and after 672 checkdowns in a row, Miami logged themselves into prime position to end the game with a field goal of their own. The snap and hold were both good, and the kick was blocked by Dallas. Game over, as the camera switches to Jerry Jones celebrating with a look of joy. Wait a minute. Somehow, someway, the man whose only position in NFL lore is the role of a Super Bowl clown saw the ball rolling on the ground, all but guaranteeing a Cowboys victory, then completely malfunctions, rolling in like a mindless cannonball, ramming into the football, allowing Miami to recover. And the madness wasn't even close to being done yet, as no one on the field had any idea what was going on, the same as the people who were watching in front of their television screens. And meanwhile, while the refs were solving goddamn diophatant formulas, trying to figure out what to call, Doug Peterson, the current coach of the Jaguars and former Super Bowl winner with the Eagles, was channeling his inner miner, clearing out a massive field of grass to make a way easier kick for the second attempt. So finally, after the lunacy had subdued, the Dolphins sent out kicker Pete Stoyanovich onto the field, who kicked in the finishing blow to spoil the Cowboys' Thanksgiving. One more thing for this game which truly makes it weird. So immediately after this Week 14 game, the Dolphins would lose every game remaining in the season, while the Cowboys, on the other hand, would win every single game this season, including the postseason, going on to win their second straight Super Bowl. Now, we fast forward 9 years into the future to look at the biggest apparition in football by a country mile, the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Houston Texans. Basically, I chose the Steelers game over their monsoon one against the Dolphins in 2007 for a reason, and you're about to see why. So going into this game, the Steelers starting quarterback was Tommy Maddox, already one of the weirdest NFL quarterbacks to ever play the game, as he was a former Allstate insurance agent, then won an MVP in the XFL before coming back to the NFL to start for the Steelers. Meanwhile, the Texans were led by rookie David Carr at quarterback, who was walking straight into a planned execution, as he would be sacked a hilarious 76 times this year. And the insanity in the actual game began right away, as on a routine scramble, Tommy Maddox succumbs to the Turf Titan and coughs up the ball, leading to a 7-0 Texans lead early in the game. So, to bounce back, Tommy Maddox leads the Steelers to one singular first down before throwing a pick six to Aaron Glenn, one of the only good players on this Texans team, now making it a 14-0 lead for Houston. Then the frenzy died down for a little bit as the Steelers got in 2 field goals, and a singular field goal was scored by the Texans that was set up by a muffed Pittsburgh punt. Then the floodgates were reopened late in the fourth quarter once more as Maddox stared down his target and threw yet another interception to his arch nemesis Aaron Glenn, who houses it again. All of this resulted in a 24-6 decisive win for the Texans, but the statistics. The statistics are unreal. The Pittsburgh Steelers gained a total of 422 total yards, 294 passing yards, and 24 first downs, compared to Houston's 47 yards, 10 passing yards, and 3 first downs. What else can I say? The Steelers outgained the Texans 422 to 47 and lost the football game. Only the Steelers could do that. Also, what's honestly pretty eerie is that just like in that Cowboys-Dolphins game, the Steelers went on to win every game left in the regular season, while the Texans went on to lose all the games they had left themselves. Very, very weird. Also, very briefly, let's look at another bizarre game from the 2002 season, this one being the Week 2 game between the Philadelphia Eagles and Washington. So the odd part about this game has nothing to do with the score, as the Eagles disposed of a pedestrian Washington team with a 37-7 victory. And the game wasn't even close, as the Eagles outgained their opponents 451 to 179, but in the final 2 minutes of the game is when things got strange. Apparently, some Philadelphia fans were getting a little too rowdy and were fighting as well as trying to get onto the field. What else is new? But in order to break up the fight and contain the fans, allegedly a security guard unloaded almost an entire can of pepper spray, and unfortunately for this unnamed security official, there happened to be massive fans directly in front of where the pepper spray was dispersed, which was equivalent to adding gasoline to a fire. So this custom-made ventilator of death was now spreading pepper spray all over the stadium. So the game, which had already been decided, had to be called off for the time being, and the poor fans and players had no idea what was going on during all of this, and they kind of just assumed it was some sort of attack. So while everybody in attendance was confused and coughing heavily, the refs were even more baffled, trying to decipher if there was a rule for a rogue security guard. Eventually, the pepper spray did wear off, and the final few minutes of the fourth quarter were played out, in which nothing changed at all. Now we move on to the final game, which possibly has the most inexplicable factors you'll ever find. A Week 3 game in 2012 between the Titans and the Lions. Well, I guess I'll begin to tell this tale in the first quarter, because after a few drives ending in field goals, the Lions punted away to the Titans where, I kid you not, they ran the same exact play as the Music City Miracle, and it somehow worked again, leading to a 65-yard punt return for a score. The Titans then capitalized once again with a 61-yard Jared Cook touchdown. Yes, Jared Cook once played for the Titans, and just like in the games before this, everything died down for about 2.5 quarters or so. Then, after clawing back in this game with 4 field goals, the Lions finally got into the end zone and converted a 2-point conversion to put them up by a whole score. But the Titans just wiped their ass with that and proceeded to score a 105-yard kickoff return touchdown mere seconds after the Lions scored to tie the game at 27 apiece. Stafford and the Lions then tripped up for a singular possession, so the Titans decided to go straight for the kill, completing a behind-the-back catch for another 65-plus yard touchdown. And just to put the final bullet in the head of the Lions, Alteron Werner manhandles the ball away from big ol' Brandon Pettigrew to bring home back-to-back 70-plus yard scores. Whew, and add on to that an unnecessary bullet into the side of the Lions as Matthew Stafford, their previous miracle worker, got injured trying to make the saving tackle on the pick. So Shaun Hill, a journeyman quarterback by textbook definition, enters the fourth quarter with a 1:16 left and delivers? After some time, Calvin Johnson scored with 18 seconds left on the clock, which gave the Lions at least a slim chance at an onside kick. And they got it. Of course. Okay, but they're still like 60 yards away from the end zone. They're gonna have to throw a Hail Mary up into a pile of receivers. They caught it. Then in overtime, the Titans drove down and got a field goal, leaving the door wide open for Shaun Hill to begin building his immortal legacy. And after completing a huge pass to a quadruple-teamed Megatron, Shaun Hill and the Lions found themselves in a 4th down and 1 situation deep in the red zone. And there was only one right decision. Put the ball into the hands of your best player and have him make a play, and he got stuffed. Game over. Damn. The perfect ending to a weird game. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, then subscribe, because I got a lot of videos on the channel just like this one, and you should probably watch this video right here on the best moment from every NFL team ever. It's pretty good, trust me. Anyways, until next time.